Pranam to everyone. Welcome to all of you to our meeting for the month of May 2025. So, the topic that was given by the spiritual hierarchy for our satsang or spiritual meeting or get together for today is love, wisdom, and truth. So you see, these are very beautiful words actually, and this is the very basics, the triangle of the teachings of, one of my gurus, Rishi Master Bensa Duno. So actually, you see, this is the foundational stone of one's spiritual journey, and it is also, the Trimurti, or the triangle, or the foundational basis of all beings who are actually in the spiritual hierarchy. One has to actually really understand, that how love, wisdom, and truth are actually interrelated and interconnected, and how they play a very big role in our spiritual journey. So let us look at it, from a very, what is it, perspective of clarity, that you see, when you look at your fourth chakra, which is in the pranic or the etheric body, that is connected to your bodhic and atmic bodies. If you're actually familiar, that this forms the basis of one's true understanding and spiritual journey. So the light of consciousness flows actually, to the heart center, from where it actually spreads upwards and then rises, through that spinal cord and comes down, spreads into, all the various pranic nerves. And that is how basically body consciousness and, our ability to think and the feelings actually come about. But there is a very deeper sense of understanding actually in this. You see, first of all, love must flow from your heart. Right? Now, what does this actually mean? That love must actually flow from your heart. What basically actually it means is that only when love will flow from you, and this flow of love is not an emotion, right? It's not to be mixed with emotion. This is the love of your own true nature, which is actually consciousness itself, right? Now, when love flows, then you see what is the result of that. You see, purity comes into you, right? Look at the connections. So we can take some examples, and that say somebody actually, say you bless somebody who is, not one of your favorites, or someone you have got actually a disliking. So when you are actually doing that blessing from the heart, that is actually that love, not an emotion, but that unconditional love actually flowing. So like that, there are many examples. Now, what happens is that when you see that true love flows from within you, in your spiritual pathway or in your spiritual journey, what we call that unconditional love, you see, then what happens is that pure state of love purifies the mind. Look at it. You see, it purifies the subtle vasanas, what Ramana Maharishi used to tell, and what Master Byansa Aduna used to tell is that, all these vrittis, or the mental thoughts, the mental concepts that keep on flowing with us, that apparent reality to which we are actually so much attached, where that liking and disliking of the personality actually comes in as a result of that purity arising within you. You see, then true wisdom arises. You follow? And this is not something which is intellectual in nature. This is something intuitive in nature. And, we have had quite a few satsangs that we can't do anything without intuition, right? The view appears because of divine will acting on that intuition, that interaction between the atmic and the bodhic bodies. And that is how basically the view appears. So what happens is that you see your bodhic body, the body of intuition, which is just sitting next to the body of spirit or your atmic body. You see, intuitively that wisdom then flows from within you. And how does that wisdom actually flow? That wisdom flows in the form that it helps you to realize and to act in accordance with that purity, that love which has actually risen with you. You learn naturally, you see, when to remain silent, when to actually speak, and naturally, intuitively, it flows from within you when and how, at what point in time, whatever you may be undertaking, where that activity is actually required. And any activity which is of a nature which is actually discerningly not liked or does not need to be undertaken is not actually undertaken. That, I presume, is one of the most practical examples, of wisdom, what Rishi Master Byansa Duno actually used to talk about. So we have covered the two, you see, love and wisdom. Now, where does this love and where does this wisdom actually lead to? You see, this leads to what we call the truth in your spiritual pathway. And what is actually truth? You see, truth is actually the representative of that underlying reality, that consciousness which underlies all appearances. You follow? And what happens is that when truth actually flows through you, then you see, you naturally become a tool of that reality, and you do not actually undertake any activity which can be of any harm to anyone, right? So these are things that how you actually connect, the three branches: love, then that leads to purity, and that purity then purifies your mind, which actually leads to wisdom, which is nothing but the activity of intuition within you. Intuitively you undertake things, and that actually leads to the truth, and that establishes you in your true nature. This is actually the spiritual pathway. So, to sum it up, say, in the form of an example, you see, basically, if we say that love is the seed sown in the heart, right? Then basically what happens is that love, which is sown like a seed, then blossoms into truth. That is the wisdom flowing in your mind. And when then wisdom actually flows, then you see, so love is the seed, wisdom is actually, the stem which actually grows, and then truth is the blossoming of that flower, right? And when I take it practically, you see, what is the soul? The soul is nothing but the astral and the mental bodies. It is actually the flow of thoughts and feelings within you. So you see, when the soul, when you sow the seed of love in your thoughts, in your feelings, that will actually lead to wisdom. And that wisdom purifies your mental body and your astral body, which actually leads to what we call as truth. And that is why only thoughts and feelings of a beautiful, loving nature flow through you. So I hope that this has given you all a basis and a good idea or knowledge of the perspective of love, wisdom, and truth. So Neeruji has gone quite into actually detail, which is purely based on the teachings of Rishi Master Byansa Duno. And I'll request Neeruji to please, take up the satsang. Thank you, Neeruji.
Pranam, Anuj. Yes, and Pranam devotees. Yes, I just share my screen and start. Thanks to the grace, I feel full of gratitude for the opportunity to be here and for the guidance of Sage Ramana, Rishi Master Bien Sajuno, uh, Vijay Anilji, and all devotees who have helped me in my quest for the truth. Today, I am honored to speak about the teachings of the great spiritual teacher Rishi Master Bien Sajuno, who dedicated his life to spreading the message of love, peace, and spiritual enlightenment. His teachings have inspired countless individuals worldwide, and his legacy continues. Today, we are sharing a powerful teaching from Bien Sajuno, which is on the screen for you. So it reads like this: From now on, we shall serve love, wisdom, and truth. Therein lies the salvation of the world. So Rishi Master Biensa, preached these as three universal principles for humanity: love, wisdom, and truth. These are the foundation of his teachings. So in our meeting today, we will explore how he taught these teachings and how he explained that this teaching can transform our lives. So just moving to the next one. So we start with the first principle that Rishi Master Bien Sadyuno taught, that's love. So how he explained love, how he preached this. So he preached that love is the essence of God. So as Anilji introduced, that he did not say that love is like a feeling or emotion that we normally understand about it in our day-to-day life, but he came from a very, very higher perspective of this, that love is the essence of God. Um, it's the path for those who seek to abide in God. So it's like essential element of God. So outside of love, we cannot truly know God. So this seems to be like a foundation principle from his perspective. So it's the fundamental principle of the universe. So he said that love is not an emotion that arises and ends. It is actually a um, state that we should aspire to live in. It is through love that individuals could connect with the divine. Now, let's just maybe dive a bit deeper and think about actually, what we think about it. So we can apply this question on ourselves. Okay, just a very simple question. Do you love yourself? Anybody can tell me if you like to share something about it. Or maybe if not, then we can just think about it. Let's answer the question just within ourselves. So, do we love ourselves? Um, let's also think a little bit deeper. So, what is in you that you really love? Or what is it in you that you love the most? So, maybe somebody says, I love myself. Very simple. Yes, we all love ourselves. Um, somebody say, I love my life, my children, my partner. But look carefully. So all these answers, they refer to a concept like, my, that is the commonality of all these. So my life, my job, my partner, my children, my car, my phone, or something that belongs to you. very simply. But if you closely examine yourself, you will find that what you truly love is not what belongs to you, but what you truly are. That is the what you love the most. That which is the pure self in you. So it is the pure self in you actually that loves itself. Because we saying in a person mode that yes, I love myself, or we say I love the self, the true self in me. But basically, who's the one that's saying this? It is that pure self, that pure awareness, that is saying, that has taken the form of me, the form of you. So it is that pure self in us that is saying that I love myself. And that is the reason it is urging the person in us, the ego personality, uh, or like yourself or themselves or himself or herself, like the person mode of that pure awareness, to realize that pure awareness in true sense means to be one with it in a continuous manner so that it does not break. So basically, love is about loving ourselves, but how loving ourselves? It is loving us as that pure awareness or as that unity of all pervading awareness. And then Juno goes ahead. He says that how you should love yourself, very important. Um, so what he says by this, that um, how we love ourselves is we love the God within ourselves or the divine presence that's in ourselves. He teaches that we should serve ourselves. Uh, that means to work on ourselves, that we may develop the image of God within ourselves. So that is how he explains that we should love ourselves, that we should see the God in ourselves, we should feel that presence of God in ourselves, and we should visualize or maybe affirm ourselves in that pure awareness, the presence that is actually our foundation, our essence. So in that sense, he's teaching about love. And good thing about Juno is that he brings the teaching to practice in simple way. He says to love ourselves means to free us from dark forces. So what are dark forces? Is like bad thoughts, negative feelings, bad deeds. Because he says that they are going to harm ourselves. So we should be protecting ourselves from all these, freeing ourselves from all these. And as we go further, you will see that he's actually asking us to train ourselves in order for us to grow in that love that is kind of the supreme state. So that's how he's talking about it. Okay, so going further into a little bit deeper insight into how Juno has preached about love. So he says that love exists in four ways in us, in our setup. And this comes like one of the highest principles, so that is present in us. And also it kind of boils down to the practical level of it, like love taking different forms. Okay, so we go through this. So you see that on the screen there is four different ways. So Juno has taught us that love exists, manifests in us in these four ways. So the one way, it's not like first, second, third, or fourth, but it's like one way and another way and another way and another way, like that. So there isn't a definite order, but these are four um, interconnected kind of, you can say, layers, or the forms of love that exist in us. So one way love exists in us is as principle within our spirit. So, as principle within our spirit represents its highest expression, that love exists in us in the highest form, the purest form, which means love sets the foundational framework for our moral and spiritual growth, and it becomes a guiding force that shapes our values, um, so what we are going to do, like, we kind of design a framework for ourselves. So what is the foundation of those? What we are going to believe, so how our values will shape, our attitudes are going to then develop, and all that we are going to use that as our approach, that sort of stuff. So it shapes our values, it shapes our actions, and our relationships with others around us. So it's according to divine will. So love comes in us as a divine will. Okay, so this principle facilitates our alignment with the universal truths, which means eternity, let's say, unity of consciousness. So that's a universal truth. So love in the highest manifestation aligns us with that highest truth, universal truth, or the reality. Another way love exists in us is as an aspiration within the heart. So now we are coming to another level. It's heart. Heart means um, basically, like, like our goal, our desire, so like uh, our ideals, things like that. So this emerges from the foundational principle. So it comes as a deep desire, or what's our wish. Let's say our wish is to unite with the universal consciousness, or to seek harmony with others, to be one with nature, to be one with God, to transcend selfishness. So it's like, giving them a bit of definition, or maybe we're defining, like a setting up a framework based on that principle that initially exists in us. So based on that, we set up like a framework for us, that this is what our deepest wish is going to be in this life, that kind of stuff. So then another way love exists in us is in the form of feeling. So now we come to that level of emotion that we are the most familiar with in our lives. So feeling within the soul. So what it reflects. So at the level of feeling within the soul, love manifests as emotions, such as, different emotions, as we know, such as compassion, empathy, warmth towards all living beings. So it is through this feeling that we develop kindness towards other, forgiveness, and a sense of shared humanity. This dimension of love transforms negative energies into positive ones. It brings harmony to our inner world. And then finally, another way that love exists in us is as power in the mind. It gives us strength. So it also manifests as thoughts. So here it comes to the thought level, because it's to giving power in the mind, which means it enables the mind to overcome challenges, overcome, let's say, complexities, contradictions, limitations that exist in us, and we grow out of all these and become resilient. It brings clarity, it gives us strength to think constructively, to act wisely, even in difficult situations. So we become powerful. It empowers us. So it aligns our thoughts with divine principles, and it helps us to make decisions that promote growth and harmony. Okay, so moving on. Juno talks about the transformative power of love. So Master said that um, he gives an example of how people normally think about love. So, like, people of today live with the delusion of awaiting love from others. So like an exchange, say somebody gives me love, and that's how I am also going to give love. But he says that is not the perspective of love. So open your hearts to God for his love, and then people will love you. So that's the way this should be practiced. So when people love you, it indicates that you love God. Okay, so it is the bringing Almighty into this, how love needs to be practiced in our lives. So when you love people, it indicates that you are receptive to God's love. Okay, I just repeated. So when people love you, that is a sign that you love God. That proves that you love God. If people also are like loving towards you, when you love people, It is a sign that you are receptive to God's love. So we talk about how Juno has uh, guided us to practice love in our life. Some practical expressions in which love will exist. We practice these, the virtues like kindness, compassion, so showing care and understanding to others in our daily interactions with our family members, neighbors, colleagues. For example, lending a helping hand to someone in need, or listen attentively to a friend. This seems to be really very simple and basic, but uh, sometimes we are not even able to do that. So it is just, we're thinking once again, are we actually truly doing this? Okay, so being truthful to ourselves, that yes, we loving towards others in our interactions, cultivating gratitude, so reflecting on the blessings in your life and expressing appreciation to those around you, making it our habit, uh, seeking harmony in our relationships by resolving conflicts peacefully and embracing empathy, engaging in acts of service like volunteering, small acts of kindness without expecting anything in return, selfless service. This aligns with the divine love. And Juno is very strongly advocating about connection with nature. So spending time outdoors to feel the universal love that's all pervading in this creation. This can deepen your sense of unity with the world. Okay, so this is mostly about what I could cover from Juno's teachings about love. So now we move to the second principle, wisdom, and we will talk about the interconnection between these three once we cover truth also. So, in regards to wisdom, I have extracted some quotes from the literature, the books that has written. Some of the quotes are here, very wonderful. So, wisdom is the second pillar, as Anilji has introduced in the beginning. Of his teachings, and you can take a moment to read some of the quotes. um, he in these is pointing to how it's great to practice wisdom, what wisdom is, but at the same time also pointing to the challenges that one could face in the path towards wisdom, and also how nature can be helpful in this. So we will cover all these in the next few slides. So, what is wisdom according to Duno? He describes wisdom as the light, um, pure knowledge, insight. So, it illuminates our path and reveals eternal truths to us. So, what he means by this light? He means what is right, what is wrong, what is fact, what is fiction. It's through wisdom that we come to understand the divine order of life, the oneness of all entities. So, it's not intellect, but it is actually the deeper truths of reality. Cultivating wisdom involves aligning our thoughts with truth and love because they are interconnected: love, wisdom, and truth. So, wisdom requires self reflection, which means examining ourselves, what we have achieved, what we are doing, what is still to be done, what are our challenges, where should we improve. Um, At the same time, observation of nature. So, learning from nature, and learning from life's experiences, of course. So, Bianca Duno often emphasized the importance of studying nature as a source of divine wisdom. So, he said, nature is a great book in which everything has been written. By observing the natural world, we can discern universal laws and principles. But what he means by observing nature, is this just going into the garden and looking at flowers and the trees and whatever is happening? But no, that's not right. According to Juno, it is slightly different. So He taught that wisdom can be developed by observing nature, but his meaning goes far, far beyond simply looking at the physical world. So for him, observing nature meant these different things that are on the screen. So contemplating nature's laws and rhythms, very important. That's how we are going to understand from nature. So he encouraged people to study the cycles, um, order, and the harmony present in nature, such as sunrises, sunsets, seasons change, and the way life renews itself in spring. So, by paying attention to these patterns, one can understand the deeper principles that govern both the natural world and the human life. And then he said, connecting with the living intelligent essence in nature. What he means by that? He saw nature as alive, like a living entity, and filled with divine intelligence. So he says, observing nature with awareness means perceiving not just the physical processes, um, like looking at the plant's growth, decay, etc., but the spiritual forces and sentient beings that are working behind them. For example, watching the sunrise is not just witnessing a physical event, but it is connecting with that primal consciousness as a source of inspiration, as light, as in the sense that it is renewal for the soul. So that's how we should be watching these events like sunrise, sunset, changing of seasons, etc. And then he says we should be learning spiritual lessons from nature's symbols also. He often used natural phenomena as metaphors for spiritual truths. For example, the rising sun, for instance. So he says that it symbolizes the awakening of consciousness and coming of wisdom and love into one's life. So observing these symbols helps a person internalize their lessons, such as, planting good thoughts in the morning of one's life, which means when your life, when, let's say at a stage in life when you have the consciousness in the sense that, yes, you can learn from these principles and, so individuals should be developing good thoughts, positive thoughts. That's what he means by, planting good thoughts in the morning of one's life, when I said that. And then finally, he talks about learning from nature in the sense that we should be gaining wisdom through harmonization. So by observing how nature balances opposing forces, let's say opposing forces can be pressure can be one force, and then tension another. So nature uses these to keep things going in balance. Uh, I can explain with an easy example. For example, a person can have a challenging situation in life. Let's say something goes wrong with the work. So that's like a pressure, an external pressure creating a challenging situation, difficult circumstances in the life. But what we mean by tension is what should be happening inside. So if the person reacts like, what can be happening inside, in that's called internal tension. It could take the form of determination rather than anxiety. It could take the form of resistance. So if a person only reacts mechanically to these forces, they may suffer or they may act unwisely. However, if they engage their higher intelligence in reflecting, in learning from experiences, and applying wisdom, um, they can harmonize these forces. So, by balancing external pressure and internal tension, the individual wisdom, in this sense, is that the individual gets the ability to recognize and apply these balancing principles, which can lead to a more ordered life, more peaceful, and maybe purposeful existence. Could be more not frustrating, but it can be a fulfilling exercise for them as well. So, so what happens when we apply wisdom on us, on ourselves? We grow ourselves. We grow out of the limited body mind entity, um, and we align ourselves with the totality of consciousness. How should we practice wisdom How should we apply wisdom? Wisdom involves clarity, understanding, alignment with higher principles. Of course, this is a lot of learning. It's not just learning from experiences, but learning from nature, learning from others, reading also. Uh, so, to live by wisdom, one way is to reflect daily what's going on, spending time each day reflecting on your actions, decisions, their alignment with the values that we kind of rate really high for us. For example, let's say timeliness, let's say spiritual fulfillment. Okay, so reflecting regularly as to how we are progressing, what is lacking, what we have achieved, what are the challenges, how we are going to improve. Learning continuously means seeking knowledge through reading, observing nature, engaging with others' perspectives, making thoughtful decisions. So before acting, looking at pros and cons and whether your choices align with the harmony, with the higher truths, um, avoiding impulsive decisions that may create discord, seeking balance, striving for balance between intellect, emotions, and actions. So, wisdom is about harmonizing these aspects of ourselves. Sharing insights means sharing these with others also, using our own understanding that we have developed through applying wisdom in all these different ways and learned lessons, um, using that knowledge to help others also to uplift, um, which can be through meeting, for example, we meeting today, which can be through writing, through mentoring, simply offering your thoughtful advice, provided other is person is ready as well. Okay, so now we come to the final principle, a third principle, that's truth. Juno said the truth is the path to freedom. So it frees ourselves, right? We come to know what the reality is. So um, he described this as the ultimate reality that liberates the human soul. Because, what is there after truth? When we know the truth, we realize the truth. So truth is not an abstract concept, but according to Duno, is a living, it's a force, dynamic force that governs the universe and leads us to the spiritual enlightenment, freedom, and a very famous quote by Duno, the truth shall make you free. He himself has said this. Uh, how truth comes, like, the practical expressions of truth. Uh, what we mean by living truthfully means being authentic. So we do what we think that right, what's right, authentic in thought, word, in our deeds. So it requires courage to confront conflicts, illusions, um, and stand firmly in the light of reality. Truth manifests in motion and action. So means it should be practical thing, not just a, he says that not just a abstract idea, but something that shows, that's there in action. So it inspires us to grow and evolve. To live in truth is to constantly strive for higher understanding and greater harmony. Okay, so what we do, we should be doing it for the higher principles, for greater harmony. And then he actually compares truth to in a, like a, you can say, layman sense, to beauty. So this highlights how truth brings harmony not only to our inner lives but also to the world around us. But at the same time, not very easy. So there are challenges according to Duno. It is not an easy way, easy path. The pursuit of truth requires discipline and self-awareness. So he reminds us that ignorance and transgressions against divine laws will lead to misery. So why are we miserable? Because you are ignorant, because you transgress the law. In literature, in his book, there is, I think, about more than a dozen laws. We had covered them in one of our meetings, I think, a couple of years ago. And those laws, they are the must to abide. So to live in truth, we must overcome our limitations and align ourselves with higher principles. He also emphasizes that truth demands humility and openness to learning from life's experiences and accepting its lessons. So, truth is universal. What's truth's impact? Truth is not just personal, he says. It has cosmic significance, like a much broader. Uh, it directs all movements in the universe, from finite to infinite, and it serves as a leader for humanity's evolution. Master states, truth is the greatest leader, and it directs all of the cosmos. So, when humanity collectively embraces truth, it will lead to a world governed by justice, harmony, and spiritual freedom. Okay, now Master also has guided us how to apply truth in our life. So, very simple, but again, very thoughtful, very deep. Be honest with yourself and others. So, speak truthfully but kindly in all situations. Avoid deception, exaggeration, living authentically. Align your actions with your values and beliefs. Means what you believe, do that. Avoid living a life, let's say, under the pressure of somebody, like, from the society. Say, be authentic, means what you believe, do that. What's right, what you feel is right, do that. Seek inner freedom. So let go of attachments to illusions or material desires, because they can be enslaving the soul. And integrity, he rates very highly. So follow through on commitments, make decisions that reflect moral courage, um, that reflect ethical principles. Uh, Pursue self awareness, regularly assess whether your thoughts and actions align with divine principles of truth. Okay, so we can do a bit of review at this stage. So, how the three principles transform the individual. Love is eternity. It is the essence from which we emerge. The personality emerges. Uh, so love inspires life, uh, immortality. Okay. So when we are inspired by this, we see ourselves as immortal being, not a mortal being, immortal being. And we also see others as immortal beings too. That's right. Okay. So that brings oneness. Um, Wisdom bears light and knowledge, means we come to the deeper understanding of what this life is, right? What others are, what is my connection with others, and and that deeper insight that guides us in our uh, attitude, in our interactions with others, what our beliefs, how they shape. So, and then we come to know what truth is. So truth frees us, it bears freedom. Very important now is that, so how should we integrate these three principles on our lives on a regular basis? I mean, uh, how to make it a practice. First thing that comes with, like, something like setting up the framework. So, what do we want to achieve in our life? What are our goals? Uh, Means what are our core aspirations? What we truly want in this life. Um, of course, we want to be comfortable. So yes, we have some material goals. We have spiritual goals as well. But in the sense, how do we integrate them? So do we seek good relationships with others, like our family, our friends, our colleagues, community, society? good relationships with others, yes, uh, career success, spiritual fulfillment, yes. So these are some examples of the goals, like setting up, first of all, our framework, like, where do we operate from? What are we seeking in this life? Second is, um, what are the higher values that masters have guided us? So are looking at, in the sense that are these goals that we set up for ourselves, do they align with those higher principles also? Okay. So the goals should reflect not just the external achievements, but also inner harmony and alignment with divine principles. For instance, let's say we set up a goal of career success, but it's not that it's just entirely materialistic and just like, super something selfish. uh, it should also include contributing positively to others, contributing positively to society. So in the sense, if we set up a goal of career success and at the same time it is also has a positive contribution to others, then yes, it is going to be a good goal. It aligns with the higher values. So what we do is, to integrate them on a regular basis is, that we examine these principles. So how these principles, love, wisdom, and truth, so how they are operating in our life. Okay, so we are examining our life in the light of these three principles, on or we are testing ourselves on this. So let's say, we talk about love. So the goals, for example, we set up a goal, career success. So is this goal motivated by compassion, connection, and service? Yes, we already took an example that yes, it can also address connection, service, in the sense, it all depends upon how we actually set up, how we have the outline of this done for us. um, let's look at wisdom also. So do your goals reflect thoughtful planning? um, are they wise decisions? Are they aligning with the higher truths? Okay. And let's also not forget that we have another principle, truth. So are your goals authentic to who you are? um, or you have set your goals under some pressures from somebody, or um, without gaining proper insight? Okay, so it's that, we do this uh, goal setting for us, for our life, very, very carefully, so that we do not misalign. And then we identify if there is any misalignment between the principles and our goals, then we need to correct it. Okay, so that we should not be contradicting these principles. For example, somebody say business success, so pursuing wealth, but at the cost of integrity, that will be a misalignment. Master speaks very highly about integrity because he's really very practical about how we should be leading our lives. So that's why he has boiled down these higher ideals into, um, these uh, these practicable, these, you can say, rules or principles that can guide us as to how we should lead our lives. So he speaks very highly about integrity. And then next thing for us will be that we align, we examine ourselves and we align. If there is any shortfalls, then we, bring that back to alignment with these principles of love, wisdom, and truth. So asking questions to us, how does my goal contribute to the well-being of others? Let's say, that will be about love. Am I pursuing my goal out of love for myself, and others, or out of some fear, out of my ego satisfaction? So these are very blunt questions, but that's what Master has guided us to practice. Um, when we come to talking about wisdom in this regard, so be thoughtful to evaluate whether your goals are realistic, meaningful, and sustainable also. So reassess if there is, the goal aligns with the higher purpose and you are making thoughtful decisions that lead you toward the goal. For example, if your aim is to, very simple example, okay, let's say somebody wants to improve their health. So you will need to do this holistically, which means that we just not think about physical fitness, but also we think about mental well-being also. Okay, so wisdom means we think all the factors, all the elements that will play their role. We do it in a holistic manner, getting deeper insights rather than just superficially playing with that. When we come to truth, ensuring authenticity in our goals by staying true to ourselves, like you may assess that by examining if your goal reflects your deepest values and you are honest about what truly matters to you. So then that's a good way of living. For example, if you are pursuing a career path because it is expected of you, but it does not really resonate with your passions, then Master says it is going to create complexities. So consider changing it to what you feel you should be doing, because it will be a struggle. Okay. So the idea is that we already in the personhood mode, we already have a lot of struggle because it is creating a lot of barrier between ourselves and what we really are. But on the top of that, if we also are adding more complexity by, let's say, doing something which we have to be struggling, that will add to our anxieties, and that will actually take us away, even farther. So try a simple life in that where there is minimum of the absence of complexity. So do what you really love to do, and be truthful in the sense that this is what I like to do, and just keep it simple. So there is ways to achieve these goals. So how we are going to reflect the principle of love by including actions that build relationships, or serve others. Um, in the case of wisdom, decisions that must be thoughtful and well researched. And in the case of truth, we staying honest about what is achievable. So let's say if we have the long-term goal of spiritual growth, then how love, wisdom, and truth will play their role in seeking this goal. So in the case of love, it's concentrating on the eternal aspect that is present. Let's say we do meditation, okay? So that is an expression of love. Then we study spiritual text, or we listen to satsangs. That is the wisdom aspect. And then we live authentically. So we practice this also, means what we have learned, then we actually use those practically, we apply. So that is in regards to how truth will be coming to play its role. And then reflection, regular reflection. So am I acting out of love in my daily interactions? In the case of wisdom, are my choices guided by wisdom? In the case of truth, am I being truthful about what I am doing? So asking these questions, that means reflecting. And a very important part is that we have regular interaction with like-minded individuals. We seek those, we try to gain knowledge. We surround ourselves with supportive, let's say, influences, our mentors, our friends, our communities that embody love, wisdom, and truth. So their guidance can help us stay aligned with these principles, like um, attending meetings, participating in any other forums that can support our seeking spiritual enlightenment or abundance. Okay, that can help. Affirmations can also help, because we affirm ourselves that yes, I need to be really very, very firm in these principles that Master has uh, guided us. And also visualizing ourselves that yes, I am also visualizing ourselves in the sense that yes, these I am applying them successfully on me. So the ways that Master has taught us, we are also using that in our life. Like you can maybe imagine some situations and you can see yourself, visualize yourself that yes, you are following those principles. So we nearly reached the end of the presentation. Just a closing thought that when love inspires our actions, wisdom guides our decisions, and truth grounds our intentions, then we can create a life that is not only successful but also deeply fulfilling. Because these principles help us not only toward material achievement but toward inner harmony also, towards spiritual growth also. So, so there is with these closing thoughts, I end the presentation, and now it's to Anilji and Vijayji to uh, share some further knowledge about it. So I stop share the screen and just come back. Thank you for your
Thank you,
attention. Thanks for
Neeruji.
the.
Thank you. It's beautiful, actually, what you have presented. Absolutely lovely, It's the, what is it, the theoretical and the practical parts sewn together. So it's a question of practicing it in our day-to-day life. Thank you very much. Vijayji, would you like to please conclude?
Yes, Hari Om, everyone. Om. Uh, we'll just start with three Oms. Om. 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 Today's topic is based on love, wisdom, and truth. And it was discussed beautifully by Anilji to start off with and giving a gist of it. And then Neeruji went into wonderful details of the teachings and presented it very well in a format that went flowing through as to how one can move from love through to wisdom and truth. So, as far as the summary is concerned, uh, the pranic and atmic bodies manifest some of these qualities, and when love flows through, not initially as an emotion, but uh, from on a very base level, it is an emotion where you have love flowing through in a platonic manner or from a carnal manner, and all those aspects of love, which is very base. And a lot of people speak about this and discuss about this, but the love that we are discussing is not an emotion, but an unconditional love when the mind is absolutely purified with that unconditional love. And when the mind is purified, the vasanas are vanquished. They call it vasana kshaya. So the vasanas, which are the um fluctuations in the mind which make the mind impure, those are removed, and the mind is purified by unconditional love. When that happens, wisdom dawns, wisdom arises, because wisdom was always there within. It only expresses itself and comes out. And when wisdom arises, truth is revealed through the body and the mind. So, as Anilji very beautifully put it, love is the seed. And when that love is sown, the unconditional love is sown, and it is nurtured well and beautifully by means of uh, you know watering it and protecting it with unconditional love. That seed transplants itself into a sapling, into a plant, and when that happens, it grows. And then when that grows, the wisdom sort of transforms into truth, which is the fruit. And that tree of wisdom then automatically gives truth. It is not something that one has to seek, but that tree itself leads to the fruit. Love then, so when going back to love, it was discussed that love manifests within the spirit. And then when that love manifests itself through that spirit in manifestation as a human being, then there is an aspiration in the heart. The emotion, it goes beyond emotions. It's and aligns thoughts with the divine principle. And that aligning with the thoughts with the divine principle leads to the wisdom that dawns in the mind. And truth is then comes across as the fruit. Now, there were lots of slides that Neeruji spoke about, but the four manifestations of love that she discussed was the the spirit, the principle within the spirit which comes out, and the aspiration that comes up in the heart. Then there is a feeling within the soul, and then there is a power in the mind. And that then, finally transforms into a power of love. And it's got a unique ability to resolve all contradictions in life and build harmony in the world. And then without love, there is no sense to this existence. So, the practical expressions of love are kindness, compassion, uh, you know, gratitude, harmony in relationships, selfless service, and then connecting with nature. Talking of connecting with nature, there was one really great saint in the 11th century called Saint Francis of Assisi, and he lived a life of purity, love, and dedication, and was not at all interested in material happiness, was only engaged and totally immersed in spiritual truth. And he's written a beautiful poem which will just be read out for the benefit of everyone. Prayer of Saint Francis of Assisi. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. Grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And then the last line is beautiful. And it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. That is in dying that we are born to eternal life. It's an absolutely beautiful prayer. And that prayer is that last line, dying. The dying is in reference to the dying of the ego, the dying of the little I that we consider as I, me, and myself. When that dies, it leads to eternal life. Because that is what our true nature is. So, wisdom, then we are talking about wisdom, is actually the light that illumines a path and reveals eternal truths. And that's the love that is expressed through clarity and insight. So these are all the discussions that were had, and through divine wisdom we can transcend limitations and align ourselves with the divine order. One beautiful sentence was, the pursuit of truth requires discipline and self awareness. And that is really, really important in spiritual life, because without self awareness, there is truth cannot reveal itself. Wisdom can dawn, but truth cannot reveal itself. The spoken word cannot translate into establishment in truth. And establishment in truth can happen when there is pure, absolute self awareness. Abiding, constant awareness of truth. And that then reveals. And then life becomes a flow rather than doing it. All this discussion that we have had is a discussion that is related to the functioning of the mind, things that we need to do to be able to express love, wisdom, and truth. But within the framework of the mind, these are beautiful techniques to try and purify the mind. But the purification of the mind cannot reveal the truth, because the I is still functioning, the ego is still functioning, saying that I am doing all this. Love is being expressed through me. Love is being, wisdom has dawned upon me. Truth can only be revealed when that I, that little I, is vanquished. And then the only and only technique is to use that same tool, which is the mind, which has been so far used on an external basis to try and develop all these beautiful techniques and gain love, wisdom, etc. And when that happens, yes, beautifully, the mind gets one pointed and gets purified. And when that purification happens and the mind becomes one pointed, automatically that very same mind, which is the source of this little ego, goes inwards to find out, well, where is this, who is this one who's seeking truth? Who is that wants to know and be consumed by this truth? When that happens, the inward journey happens. So far, it was always the outward journey. The inward journey begins, and when that inward journey begins, the quest to find out who this I is commences. And when that happens, the revelation of truth automatically happens. And that revelation of truth is not something that is outside you, because you are that. Not this little body, mind, intellect, but that eternal truth. That is revealed as that eternal truth. Then all that happens is the mind doesn't say, I am in this body, mind, and this truth is revealed to me, but one realizes and lives in that reality where I am that eternal truth, this body is in me, as is this entire manifestation, because I am that ever existing, changeless reality. And this changing manifestation is only a revelation, an aspect of the changeless. The changeless is not different from the changing. The changing is only a revelation of the changeless, because that revelation can only be seen as the changing, because the changeless is unmanifested, cannot be seen, can be seen only as the changing. And all this drama that goes on in the changing to reveal what is the changeless is the process of what we call as spiritual life. Once that is realized and the inward journey begins, truth is revealed, one is ever immersed in that ever existing truth, eternal life. When one dies to that little I, one lives in eternal life. Oh. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vijayji. It's quite beautiful, but I think Vijayji goes back to his state of abidance. Beautiful, actually, very well expressed. I think what Vijayji spoke actually in the end, that is the culmination of actually what we have been discussing today, and what, Rishi Master Vyansadguru has been teaching, that life, love, wisdom and truth are the three pillars that eventually culminate in the realizing that truth. And once you see that is revealed to you, that eternal life, you die to that small I, then there is no more of really anything to follow and what to follow. So thank you, Vijayji, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to listen to you. So I thank all of you, for the time that you have given to listen to this very beautiful session that we actually had today. And we'll catch up in a month's time. For now, and thank you
Thank
for
you.
attending.